You're live.
Okay. All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thanks to everyone for coming out here. We'll start off by doing a brief roll call. So from the first CD, Commissioner Tobias.
Present.
Thank you. From the second, Commissioner Anthony.
Present.
Okay. And Commissioner McClellan from the third.
Present.
Okay. From the fourth, Commissioner Rangel.
Present.
Awesome. And we're looking out for Commissioner Ramft. She may be a bit late. Commissioner Prentice, I don't see here as well as Commissioner Bissonette and Commissioner Phillips from the 8th.
Present.
All right. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for everyone for coming out. Tonight we have Wyatt with us as well, who's our GIS specialist who'll be helping out. So we just wanted to give a brief overview of what's been done thus far in the line drawer subcommittee, as well as the report drafting subcommittee, as well as kind of talk about some expectations and sort of the broad spectrum picture of what we're going to be doing as we near closer and closer to our finish line here. So the first line of business here is the line drawers committee timeline update. And I can get into that a little bit more in depth, but I just wanted to talk to, I guess, either Tony or Anne Marie. We can kind of speak to what was done today and sort of, your work with Wyatt.
Anne Marie, you want to start?
Sure. We had, as you know, a number of maps that the MGGG group made for us, assemblies that were based on now the 2020 census data that met all our criteria based on the metrics that we had looked at before, as far as whole counties, whole municipalities, and those good metrics. So we evaluated those and decided to start with, it's called map 28, that we thought looked good. And so the line drawers went through, evaluated, and saw some areas where maybe we could make some small adjustments and improvements, maybe make them more compact, reevaluate how they might have cut through some cities. So we spent the greatest part of today going through map 28 and readjusting the lines, and with big focus on the areas that we're familiar with. In the third CD, of course, for myself, Tony Phillips with the 8th, and Chairman Ford with the 4th. So all the other areas require quite a bit of review, as you know. So what we would like to do is, once we're finished with this particular map or any other maps, send them out to all the commissioners to really hone in and look at the lines that relate to your district. And it would be, we'd ask that you would do this with Wyatt, who is a whiz on the GIS. I'll tell you, he really made the effort a lot less painless today and efficient. So thanks again, Wyatt, for all your work. It really was quite helpful. So I don't know, Tony, if there's anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, kudos to Wyatt and Anne Marie. I mean, 6 hours today. Mm-hmm. And we got through 42 districts, the northern districts, the western districts, Milwaukee districts. We stopped at Waukesha County. Anne Marie also at the same time was tabulating what we did, comments, edits. So there's a clear record of what was edited today, and that was helpful. And also keeping track of the population of each new district and how far off we deviated from the average, so that we know that we're going to be fine at the end. We're staying within the 1% overall deviation between the most populous and the least populous. So we're going to stay within that. Yeah, and we're planning to do it again Sunday. So I don't know at what point we're going to talk about what comes next, Chris, but we should probably talk about Sunday. I think, Jack, we're gonna ask you to set up a Zoom and ask people who have time Sunday to be involved.
I will do that.
And so, yeah, thanks guys for that update there. And again, thanks to Anne Marie and for Tony and for Wyatt for helping out today. It's a kind of a marathon effort this morning leading into this afternoon. So thank you all for that. And so that kind of goes into our overarching timeline more so. And so as we've been discussing this and what would be the best way to do it, members of the line drawer subcommittee, we have been looking not only at map 28, but we kind of did a very wet run of map 29 to try to see what the best way would be in order to get comments to Wyatt based upon that. And so Emery, Tony, and myself all took a look at our varying areas on the map and provided some feedback based on map 29 as well that what the MGGG lab sent to us. And so from that, we felt as though that may be the better way in order to have commissioners working with Wyatt in going forward and kind of getting our final assessment of the Assembly, Senate, and congressional district maps that we'll be doing. And so from that, we're taking a look at the map that we have right now. We took a look at all the doodle polls that were performed as well. And so we have kind of a rough timeline that I'll go over with right now with you guys. And so ultimately, we can kind of start out with our first date, which will be September 13th. This is Monday upcoming. And so from that, we're hoping to have at least 3 sets of Assembly maps that we'll be able to send out to individual commissioners. And this will be sent by the line drawing committee. So expect an email on September 13th. By the 17th of September, we're hoping that we can have time to have commissioners take a look at these maps. This will be the homework aspect of it, which essentially either you'll have time to meet with Wyatt virtually. Anne Marie met in person today, but I wouldn't expect everyone to do that. So either meet with Wyatt to go over the changes, or on the other hand, you can use a form that we're going to create in the Teams documents to provide all your changes, submit all your critiques of those areas. Now, today, the effort took about 6 hours, guys, ultimately. So we're expecting that it may take you a few hours, but it can be done in your own time wherever you can fit it into your schedule. But this feedback is really important in order to kind of help make sure that we get the changes in your areas where you guys are more expert than we are in kind of looking at it. Wyatt, we're hoping, will then make adjustments as soon as he sees feasible. And then we're going to ultimately send those changes to Moon and the Tufts lab for evaluation, as well as to the full commission to take a look at. The line drawer subcommittee, we will take those that evaluation and try to conglomerate into the Senate districts, and then we will submit any other preferred groupings to Wyatt during that time as well. September 23rd is our next date that we have on the list here. And so we're hoping to have another meeting that week in terms of trying to make sure that we are able to shore up the maps, because ultimately what we want to do on that September 30th hearing that we have, the week of September 30th, is to put up those maps that we will be looking through, have been evaluated by MGGG, for the public to take a look at and give them a set amount of time in order to comment. Okay. So just to kind of reiterate here, the timeline that we have here thus far is September 13th is when Monday we'll be sending out those three maps there. And then the 17th is the date that we're expecting each commissioner to have those comments back. And so this is paramount for us to kind of get this work done in terms of making sure that we can have it out. And we'll send an email with all these dates as well. The 23rd is where we'll have another working meeting where we'll take a look at everything to make sure their maps are okay for that September 30th date, when we'll be able to post it to the public just to take a look at. So, okay. Any questions there? I can stop there. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. So Chair Ford, knowing that we both are from the 4th district, can you just clarify sort of our responsibility?
And so, I was going to reach out to you, Ben, after this to see if you wanted to see how you wanted to work it here. I've given some comments already looking at 28 and 29 just based on the North Shore, but we can definitely split as well as Milwaukee County in general, just to kind of take a look at our CD, just to kind of see where you think they'll lie. So we'll hook up after this just to be sure. We can
That
meet
sounds good.
or wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I live on the south side too, so I mean,
Okay.
that's helpful to maybe split it. But yeah, we can talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Chris, Chairman Ford, to get to that point, I might need, some assistance about, what all the information that we're going to bring. I know we've established the criteria that we'll use, but, we got a big congressional district, and I'd like to just probably, maybe touch bases with somebody about, what we should, how that process might work in terms of giving adequate feedback based on the community of interest and all the other stuff that we have. I want to make sure that I'm diligent and I do it, based on the feedback that we got, from our constituents.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we can do, Ruben, is we can share, Tony, Emery, and I, we can share some of our comments or even put them as an example in that Teams document that we've submitted to Wyatt, just to kind of give you an idea of sort of the critiques that we would need in your part of the state. Just because, we want to make sure that we're tailoring it to your expertise of being from that area and knowing people in that area as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I heard mention of the Assembly and the State Senate districts. Where do the congressional districts come into play here?
Yeah, and so this is something that I was mulling around today as well. And so what we're hoping to do is we're starting kind of from doing the worst first, ultimately, right? And so this is the majority of the bulk of the work that we're having right now. I was going to bring it up to the line drawers subcommittee as well, just to kind of see if and when we can work with Wyatt to try to create some demo maps similar to the assembly maps that we'll be sending out for review, just to see how quickly we can work to get that out as well. But I'll keep you guys posted on that. That in talking to Moon about it, she seems to think that that'll be the least of our troubles in terms of getting that one done. That should be cranked out relatively quickly. But we'll get back to you guys.
And then just to clarify, you threw out a few dates there. The 23rd and the 30th are the two actual meeting dates.
Right. Yeah, 23rd.
Okay. And so we're gonna get emailed to us the 13th. You said 3 maps?
Yeah, so three assembly maps, yeah.
And we have to look at all 3 of those maps and give feedback by the 17th?
By the 17th, right. And so, and this is with particular focus to your portion of the state, right, to our portion of the state, ultimately, just to make sure, you got it.
And then what's how are those 3 maps being selected? Are there different criteria? How do the criteria for those 3 maps vary? Are they gonna be very similar, or how does that process work?
So it's going to be based on the feedback and the charts that we've gotten from the MGG lab. And so ultimately for each of them, so take for instance, map 20 and 29. If you take a look at limited number of split counties, how contiguous, how many counties are split, things of that nature. Each one of those maps that will be selected will favor our criterion in some way. Right.
Gotcha.
So more so what we're doing is we're taking a look at 3 different types of maps just to be sure that, we are staying within our purview of our criterion. And then we're going to resubmit those after we make changes to the MGG lab to get a reassessment to kind of see where we fall in those lines.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions you guys have at this point in time? And again, it's a daunting task here. We're reaching the finish line here, but it's really important just to focus in on that part of the state. Today, when we were going through Commissioner Tobias, we were down in your portion of the state here, and we had a couple of districts that we did, and so we would love your input on this, just to kind of see. And so this is where that hands-on personal experience is invaluable, and that's why we have everyone here from each congressional district to kind of provide that expertise. So, okay. All right. And so the next, if no other questions, the next thing is the report drafting updates. I don't know if Emery, if you have any updates from that, or just to kind of explain what the subcommittee itself.
Yeah, sure. So we formed, Chairman Ford formed a subcommittee to take the report that we started developing. Tony and I started developing that way back at the beginning. If you remember, we sent out some preliminary outlines and things like that. And we've been filling it in with our progress as we go along. And so now it's really time to focus in and think about that report and who its intended audience might be and where it will go. And so we've got some help from Mike. I don't have his last name in front of me.
Yeah.
Who is a lawyer who is helping us review it to make sure that it focuses in and includes everything that will be important as this our maps are evaluated. As we all kind of expect that they will end up in the courts at some point, and that this document that we have documents what we did, but it also documents why we did it and how we did it, which will be very important, as well as we have a section where we'll give recommendations on how we feel a nonpartisan commission can function in Wisconsin in the future. So it's really a critical document. And so we've kind of are now putting a big focus on it with this subcommittee. And Susan Ramft has joined the subcommittee, and Melissa has joined it. So that's the big focus now, as well as working on this draft. So the draft that has been in existence that mainly just kind of logs what we've done to date is being reviewed by the subcommittee for the first time to make sure that it's going to be inclusive of everything that it needs to have in it. Tony.
Yeah, so just to back up on that, we're also getting consulting help from Howard. Mike is sort of editing it so it looks appropriate for judicial review, and that's kind of where it's at right now. So we're waiting for that back from him, and then our next meeting for that subcommittee, I think it's the 21st. The 21st, that subcommittee is meeting, and then probably frequently thereafter, because I was just going to add to the timeline in general that Chris laid out. We're trying to be done on October 15th, basically, and Jack might say maybe another week after that we might have some leeway, but generally we're trying to be done October 15th. So if we have maps that are ready for the public on September 30th, then a period of public comment and then a time to edit them one more time before October 15 is kind of the overarching thinking. And the report is also supposed to be done by October 15th. So that's kind of where we're at with all that. That's what I wanted to add.
All right. And again, this document is kind of everything that we've done even before we were selected as commissioners. And so it's our methods as well, including when things that we've agreed upon and how to make decisions, right? And so at the bottom of page 6 it kind of talks about we agreed to operate by a consensus, meaning that there is no dissent by any member in order for the committee to be considered and to have achieved a consensus, right? And so these are things that will be paramount and that we would continue to pull from in terms of moving forward, voting on our final products and things of that nature. And so kind of goes hand in hand, is as important as the maps that we were doing too. So, okay.
Right, and I guess just to add on that, this is a full commission report, so all of you will have an opportunity to review and edit and make sure that you agree with the contents of it. So you'll have even more fun besides making the maps.
Ben will appreciate it. It's school season, right? We got all this homework, man.
But yeah, I'm just gonna assign it as a test for my students
There
to
you go.
just review it and critique the language there.
Perfect. All right, guys. Any other questions about the report drafting at all? Okay. So the next thing is more of a scheduling deal with the working meeting plan in October, and so I'll bring Jack in for it.
Hey, everybody. So I just thought I would jump in here. We've got this public hearing scheduled for the end of the month, or on the calendar for the 30th, and I sent the invite to that today. That's the result of a doodle poll, and I think everybody here said they could be there. Then another working meeting on the 23rd, but that begs the question, well, what after that? What I think that I think it might be smart if we simply schedule a working meeting for those first 2 weeks of October. If not every person can be on each of them, fine, kind of like this, but just make sure the commission's meeting and, concerns about the process are being raised, with these committees working sort of on parallel tracks. So I think what I'll do is send those invites out for maybe like 5 p.m. Thursdays on each of those weeks. That seemed to be for the doodle polls when everybody's the most available. And like I said, if anybody, first of all, it's a month notice now, but if anybody can't make it, I don't think that's the end of the world. But eventually there'll be a bigger hearing and we'll have to do a doodle poll for that one. But I think I'll forego it for those working meetings, and you'll just come if you can, have individual conversations if you need an update essentially as to what's going on those committees. And I guess I'll just end by saying this, that we in the governor's office and the state government generally really appreciate all the work you guys have done so far. We're on the 10-yard line. The next 6 weeks for you guys is going to involve some work and some homework, like Chris kind of laid out. But it is appreciated, and beyond that, it will end. So we appreciate it, and just wanted to say that. So I don't have any update beyond that. If anybody has any big major flag, like, hey, that's a bad idea, feel free to tell me right now or call me, and I can, do a doodle poll if that seems better for everybody. It just seems like a working meeting like this would be fine for those weeks. And then we're working, by the way, on, what the final hearing would look like, whether it might be in person or something like that. But I will be back to you on that.
Well, I was just gonna say, Jack, while we're talking dates and stuff, you got to make sure you get the party somewhere scheduled. Celebrate
Yes.
work.
Yes.
I gotta get that on my calendar. So
Yeah, I'll be ready for that. Maybe early November for that one, huh?
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have. That's all I have. Those are all the high points here. That's it. Just go home, man. What are any other questions you guys have at all, or anything else? Again, I'll send out a link to the Teams document. Ben, I got locked out of Teams too, so as soon as I get back on, I'll send it out to you guys, and then we'll send that the kind of demo sheet that we did to Wyatt as well. Just kind of give you guys some information about that, as well as all these dates. But anything beyond that you guys have?
Well, go ahead. Who was up?
yeah, I had just a quick question. I don't know if anyone on the team knows much about this. Maybe this is a question for Jack. I've just been seeing people post and talk about I think it's the state legislature's portal to submit like maps or comments and such.
Yep.
I'm on like a panel in a few weeks, and I was asked about that in an email leading up to the panel. And so I was just curious if we had any information about that the state legislature's portal, and how, if at all, has anything to do or with us, or should we be commenting on it at all?
I guess that's a little bit up to you, and maybe Chris, I should let you take that.
Yeah, I would refer people to our portal that's been open since the beginning of our process and our transparency throughout the process too. So I would just stick with that.
Okay, great. That's what I was assuming. And I feel like any resident who's concerned with this can just submit to that portal if they want to, just like they could to any
Right.
government ran portal. Yeah, okay.
At least where I stand, I think it's great that they've decided to listen to people. But that's about all I've got to say about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions at all? All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for coming in, and Ben will be in contact with you, and then we'll kind of reach out to everyone else. Okay. All right, guys.
Thank you. Good night.